I recently uploaded a long video of me rebuilding my A1 printer. I'll be linking the video I'm currently recording right now to the rep that's helping me out over at Bamboo. They suggested or said I should rebuild the printer and then go from there. That is what I've done, and it kind of still works and yet kind of doesn't. The big issue right now is the tool head. I'll explain exactly what's going on in a little bit, but first I want to show this thing firing up. And as you can also note, the heat bed, the heat bed cabling and whatnot, this is not how it's supposed to be done. And if I do manage to fully revive this thing, this heat bed is absolutely getting replaced. I just put it back together enough to where I can test it to make sure it heats up. It still heats up. I'll show that in a little bit also. But again, first things first, I need to show it firing up. I hear all the normal clickings and whatnot that this thing does prior to booting. Screen lights up. Printer chimes. And the assistant is not happy. Go figure, toolhead issues. So what is currently going on with the toolhead? Well, for some reason or another, the sensor for heating is not sensing heat. And when I go to try and manually heat this up, this fan here does not spin whatsoever. Though the part cooling fan, that will spin. The extruder will also spin, but for some reason or another, it can't sense the heat, and this fan does not work. Now that could be because I'm using a non-Bamboo USB-C cable for the print head, or maybe again the print head itself is just completely cooked. Either way, when it comes to repairing this thing completely, the two parts I know for a fact need to be replaced right out is the heat bed and the tool head itself. Now, I don't think I really need to show the heat bed working because again, this is going to be replaced, but I want to show it heating up anyways. So I'm going to go to controls. Now, one thing you note right out of the gate is the temperature probe for the heat bed is showing the proper temp, while the temperature probe for the nozzle is again still not working right. So with that said, let's start off again with the heat bed. So I'm going to put it to 50, and I'm going to let it heat up for a little bit. Another thing I do want to note is that it actually does take quite a while for it to actually register the input and then actually start heating. More than likely that's because the MOSFETs on the motherboard, the heat sinks on for those does not work anymore because I actually ripped off one of the ground planes, so I can't actually enable or reconnect that heat sink. So when it comes to actually properly cooling the board, I'll just buy a few copper heat sinks off of Amazon and have this thing active cooled. But I'll do that after I get all the other components replaced because that'll be like the final step of repairing this thing. But as you can see, the heat bed is heating up. And if I take my little thermometer right here, you can see it's now at 95 and it's slowly rising. So the heat bed is fully working, and since again I don't have those little heat sinks on the motherboard, I'm going to cancel the heat bed and I'm going to turn the printer off and I'm going to let it sit for like 15 minutes and I'll come back. Here is the heatsink I was talking about. As you can see, I ripped off some of the ground plane on the motherboard. Luckily, that's like the only major motherboard damage done to the printer. So again, I'll just go on Amazon, buy one of those little copper heat sinks you buy for like little mini computers and whatnot, get some thermal adhesive, and I'll be able to active cool the motherboard. I was planning on actually active cooling this A1 in the first place, but obviously now, since it's currently in the state it's in, when I do eventually manage to fully properly repair this thing, I will be active cooling the main board. But with that said, I'll come back in about like 10 more minutes. Alright, so now let's start with the Alright, now to show what happens when I try to heat the hot end. So I'm going to go to controls. So again, the bed temp is correct, but of course the nozzle is slowly going down to 0. It acts like it's able to read it for just a brief minute when the thing boots up, but then after that it just flatlines. So with that said, I'm going to put this one up to, again, about 150. So it's acting like it's doing something. I can hear some type of coil whine coming from the actual head itself. So it is trying to do something, but notice how this fan is not spinning. And when it comes to the temperature readout, it's going down, even though I'm hearing some form of whining coming from a coil and whatnot. So here I have another temperature probe, and I'm just going to stick it right here. And as you can see, it is slowly rising. So it is very much heating up the actual end and whatnot. So clearly it is heating the end up, but for some reason or another, it's not able to actually detect that, hey, it's heating up. And I'm guessing because of that, that little side fan right there is not spinning up. But either way, the heating element is definitely working. So with that said, I'm going to let this thing sit again for about an hour 15 minutes. Obviously, I'm going to have it turned off for those 15 minutes. Alright, next thing I want to do is I want to show the extruder actually extruding. So I have a little bit of filament in there, and I'm just going to spam this for a bit. If I can get the printer to respond properly. And as you can see, the extruder end is not clogged whatsoever. And it's feeding it perfectly fine. Now, granted, it's not going as fast as it would if it was actually printing, but this does show at the very least the extruder end and the gearing and whatnot are fully working. So there's that. So with that said, I'm now going to show exactly what I think may have actually caused the whole printer to just stop working on me. So let me get all this removed and come back. Now, what do I think happened to cause my A1 printer to just completely crap the bed on me? Well, every now and then, whenever I'm doing a print, the print head or nozzle end or whatever you want to call it, I can't remember what I should call it off the top of my head, it will collide with whatever I'm printing. It did that right out of the gate with the first few prints I've done, and it did it all the way up until I eventually had my moment with it. So at the time, I thought, okay, the colliding is annoying. It makes a lot of noise, but I'm guessing it's normal. It probably is, but again, I don't know for certain. This is my first ever 3D printer, and I'm learning everything still. With that said, though, it collided one too many times, and it bent the tool head out of alignment. So as you can see, the easiest way to show it off is if I align up as much as I can. You can see the left side of that little heatsink is farther away than the right side is to the actual plastic of the tool end. Now you may be thinking it's the actual hot end that's bent. It's not the hot end. It's this whole piece right here that's actually bent. And how can I show that? Now this really isn't scientific, but this is the best I can do. This little puzzle stick with a few little etch marks. I align the etch mark right there with the upper part right there. So here's how I have everything aligned. And as you can see, that etch mark is right there. This etch mark right there is, well, there. So theoretically, if everything is nice and centered, this will also be aligned on the other side right here. Give me a sec. And here's what I've done. I tried to align it as to the best of my ability to make it as accurate. But as you can tell, that etch right there is in the exact same alignment. But this etch right here is completely out of whack. So again, it collided one too many times. And when it did that, it bent this whole piece right here completely out of alignment. I don't know if it's broken on the plastic end or if it just got loose on the screw ends and whatnot. But either way, I don't know if I could actually even fully properly center this again, because this tool head right here is precision made in a factory. That precision is something I cannot produce. So more than likely, because this whole little section here got bent, the whole tool head just basically stopped working. And well, this is where we're at now with my printer. Again, I could be completely wrong, and there could be something else completely wrong with my printer. But my bet is this little piece right here being bent in the way it is. This is obviously before I had my moment with my printer. I'm betting this little tool head, or I'm betting the little piece right here being bent is exactly why my printer stopped working. Again, I could be completely wrong on this. And if I am, I'll gladly take the L on it. But either way, I still personally think this little end right here being out of alignment caused everything to stop working. So to the person over Bamboo helping me out right now. So the first steps when it comes to my printer that I want to get replaced, obviously the tool head, that's just getting replaced right out. I already knew that was going to get replaced right out. After a tool head, and I make sure I get the new tool head fully functioning, then will be the heat bed. That obviously very much needs to get replaced. And then probably the last piece that needs to get replaced is probably this whole gantry right here, unless I can somehow just buy the tool head or get a tool head with the new belt and then just route the new belt around and whatnot. That should be feasible, but again, I don't know for certain. I'll wait for the person that's helping me over at Bamboo for the next steps of what I need to do.